Let's get to work. Just like old times.
Looks like we're going for a ride.
We're doing this my way.
You're watching Rogers TV.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
And welcome to Third Eye View. I am Lynn, and my guest today is Julie, and she's all about the healing arts. So we're going to talk about Reiki. We're going to talk about crystal healing with crystals, which I think is really, really interesting. She also does yoga. So we're going to touch a little bit on that, but really focus, because I think that yoga is something that is good. It's not really about healing, but I think it helps with healing. Does that make sense, Julie?
Yes, it does. That's actually what got me into the actual Reiki, to be honest with you. So,
oh, all right. Well, anyway, welcome to the show. And how did you go from yoga to Reiki?
Okay, well, I used to work in the animal field, obviously, and then I decided I wanted to do yoga. So I actually went to India to do the Yoga RYT 200 course. And that was in 2017. And then I learned the whole chakra system and the healing end of it, which is a lot more than the actual exercise end of it that people think yoga is all about. Mm-hmm. So I learned more of the chakra system and how you can heal with that. So then in 2019, I decided I wanted to do my level 1 and 2 Reiki practitioner. So I got myself together and went to Thailand and did it under a grandmaster. And so for 3 years I did just a Reiki practitioner. And then I started realizing that I was called again to the animals. And I was doing crystal healing as well. So I wanted to incorporate that as well. So this year, 2023, I did my crystal Reiki master teacher course. I did the animal Reiki practitioner. And then I did my level 3 Asui Reiki. So I had my master teacher as well for that. But then it just didn't feel like enough. So I decided again, I got pulled back to the animals. So I did my animal Reiki master teacher, which you need your level 3 Asui Reiki master teacher to do it as well. Because this one, it uses all your symbols, but you're also attuned for an energy healing part of it, which does for the animals and the plant kingdom. So for some reason, the animals always call me back. So I have been focusing more on that right now and doing some volunteer work at Prance with the horses, doing the Reiki on them and stuff like that.
I think it's awesome. And Prance, I think, is a great thing anyway, because years ago, when we first moved up this way, we moved to Fort Elgin, I volunteered at France. And it gives kids something that they wouldn't normally get. And it helps with children that are challenged, correct? Or are they still doing that? Yeah. And working with those animals, because animals are so sensitive. And I'm sure they pick up a lot of the energies from the kids. So working with them in that way. But I like the idea that you work with animals. How do they relate? Well, I want to ask you how they relate to it. But I do know that anytime I've had Reiki done on me, and we've always had dogs, the dogs are right there, right beside me. They're soaking up that Reiki energy.
There's actually a reason for that.
Oh,
So
okay.
what I've learned, so when I do Reiki, I'm so happy that I started with the humans first,
Mhm.
because bringing it into the animals, the one thing about having your pets around you is they actually come, and you'll probably notice right now, if things are going on in your life, your animals are very clingy to you. And that's because they want to stop all of your pain and suffering and take on any ailments that are yours. So what they do is they take all that on so you feel better. So when I actually work with the animals, I also have to help you, because they will not heal unless they know that you're not going to have to take that back from them. So I actually, when I do it for the whole family, the pet, whatever animal is around human. If it's ever been hurt by a human, I try to work with all of it, because an animal will not heal itself if it thinks it's going to harm you in any way.
Isn't that something? They say, and I know this, I believe this goes for all animals, not just dogs, but they say that dogs are man's best friend. And I have quite a few friends in the horse world, and they're just, it's like they're a part of each other, if that
Yes.
makes any sense.
Yes.
And when they're not feeling well, they're horses. They're right there. I mean,
So actually, horses are one of the best receptors of the energy.
Oh.
So when I started at Prance, I actually went there because I normally run to my comfort zone and run to the shelter to work with the dogs and the cats and things like that. But I was
Uh-huh.
like, if I'm going to do animal Reiki, I really need to get out of that comfort zone and work with some larger animals. So I was very terrified from a little girl. I made a mistake and I started braiding a tail of a horse and got kicked. So after that, I respected their size, and it scared me very much. But I've learned that they are very similar to dogs. They're just really big.
Yeah.
So being at Prance, working with the horses, like just doing the sidewalking with the kids on the horses or whatever, I got to get more comfortable with the horses. So they actually taught me that they're just big dogs. Basically, that's how I look at it. And then I also gave back to them. And so now there's even a picture of me with one of the horses, like right up on my shoulder, like hugging me and things. And it's I don't know. I can't even believe that I used to be terrified of them, because now I realize they are just the most beautiful, and they feel everything, like every bit of energy you can give, they're right there. They understand it. That's why sometimes you see, if a horse just doesn't like somebody, never question the horse, because they really feel everything.
Mm-hmm. They do. And I believe that, because I believe that with dogs. I think with all animals, but I have seen it so many times with dogs. And when with me, everything was years ago. You get to that age, right? Where, oh yeah, that happened years ago, not just a few years. But anyway, I was living in England for a while. And one of the jobs that I had, it was a cleaning company, like a dry cleaning company, but they did large things. And they had 5 dogs. And one of the dogs that they had, Bismarck, called him Busy for short. He was a Doberman, beautiful black and tan Doberman. And that's where my love of Dobermans really started. Well, anyway, when they brought the dogs in, Busy always came and sat with me, always came and sat under my desk. And they had someone come in one time to apply for a job, and Busy did not like this person. And I went into the boss afterwards and I said, if you hire that person, you're making a mistake, because Busy doesn't like him. And he was like, yeah, okay, yeah. Anyway, hired him. Anyway, they had to fire him because he was drinking on the job. And I just looked at my boss and I said, see, I told you, you need to listen to your animals. You need to listen to the dogs. Because if they don't like someone, there's a reason. And I've seen that in so many instances. And someone comes to the door. If the dog likes them, hey, you're welcome in my home anytime, because I know I'm safe with you. And yeah. And I think it's that really with just about any animal.
I think we don't give animals enough credit, actually, because even in my dog that you met, Halo, her name is. She's a little tri-breasted hairless. And they are very, very good with energy. I think because they're so bonded with their human, they're very clingy because they get cold really easy. I call them little stalkers because they stalk you everywhere you go. But even her, like, if I go to bed and I have an ache in my neck or in my hip or anywhere, she will place her body right on top of that exact spot. And they've even proven dogs have actually sensed cancer in humans before, just from, and they will lay on the exact spot where that is. And so I feel like we just don't give them enough credit because they're little healers too.
I think so. I've heard that as well about the cancer. And what I had heard, and of course, I don't know how accurate this is, but what I heard is that they can actually smell it.
Yes.
And I do believe that because Dobermans are prone to getting cancer. And I have smelt it. When they had cancer, I could smell it on them. And I know I had people look at me and like, you're just weird. Thank you. I know I am. I take that as a compliment now. But you can actually smell it. I've not smelled it on humans, but I have on animals. So absolutely, I would say that they can. And I've heard that they will lay, and cats too, in particular. If someone has cancer, if they have an ailment somewhere, the cat will come and lay on them, and they will lay on that exact spot. And they do healing.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I even, when I used to be a dog groomer, actually, and I had a girl that came often with me with a Cocker Spaniel. And she kept saying her dog was acting so weird and something was up and she just couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, she keeps laying on my belly and I just don't understand it and this and that. And I'm like, are you sure there's nothing going on with you and whatever? So a couple months passed and then the dog came back again and she said same thing. And I'm like, well, she's trying to tell you something. So she ended up finding out she had, I think it was like gallbladder problems or whatever. And then top of it all, she ended up finding out she was actually, I think at that time she was like 6 months pregnant and had no idea. So her dog had actually had a litter of puppies twice. So I was like, are you sure you're not pregnant? I said that to her a couple times and she's like, no, there's no way that's possible. But it ended up that she ended up having, I think it was gallbladder problems. And then her dog ended up sensing that she was actually pregnant.
Isn't that something?
So, and that's what I tell people, like that's how I prove that our animals will take on things from us. So that is why I believe that when I do healings on animals, if there's a human involved, it's very, very important to make sure that I also work with the human as well. And sometimes it works with humans also because a lot of times people have their coping mechanisms and they don't want to actually deal with their problems. But if you make it about the animal, sometimes it's easy for them to actually heal through their animal.
Yeah. Now, when you're working with animals, do they just naturally stay still for this, or how do you work with them squirming or moving around, and especially with horses because horses are so big?
Okay, so what we do is, so you can get some animals that have been abused or traumatized in some sort of a way. So a lot of times what I do before I actually touch that animal, I do more of what I call the distance or remote Reiki on them. So you're not invading their space and you're not bringing anything into their comfort zone. So then you can get more of a bond going with them. And I find the first time is always better that way. And then the second time, then you can approach and bring yourself physically into the situation because they will recognize your energy at that point. But I find like it's so hard because some animals just don't want to be touched. So you could sit in the same room and do it that way. Or there's also animals also have an extra chakra that most of us don't even know about. That's why I'm so happy that I actually extended into the animal Reiki course because I didn't know either just from the normal Reiki. So it's the brachial chakra, which is like in the neck area, like up in here on both sides. And basically it's a human animal bonding chakra. So when you're doing the actual, if I actually physically touch them, I always keep one hand on that brachial chakra, and it seems to calm them very much. Like if you ever notice on your animal, when you start scratching around or rubbing around its neck or behind its neck, it starts to get more docile, and it starts to go more limp and more relaxed.
Yeah.
So this is actually what we use to actually make them more receptive of it, and it makes them calmer. So you stroke them on that chakra for a while, and then they literally melt in your hands.
Okay. No, I've seen this with Brandy. She's a 14-month-old Doberman. And anyone who knows anything about Dobermans knows that she's still in that puppy stage. And
They're very busy.
Yeah. But she'll get up. She's big, but she still thinks that she's my lap dog. And she'll get up at the side of the chair with me, and she will throw her head back. And I've been sort of, and she does. She loves it when I'm stroking her on the throat. And exactly what she said, like you say, she just goes limp. Now, she's, of all the dogs that we've had, she's the first one that has actually done this, where she's just thrown her head back automatically. So I had no idea. I thought, wow, isn't she being sucky, liking this? But thank you. You've explained that to me.
She's actually bonding with you and opening her energy fields to you also.
Oh. And it's funny, you talk about chakra systems with the animals. And of course it makes sense, but it's not something I've ever thought about. I've always equated chakras with humans because I know where they're placed. So now with animals, they basically have the same chakra system going through.
Yeah, everything's exactly the same as the humans. They do have some extra ones in their paws. And that's why you notice when people try to put shoes on their dogs or things like that in the wintertime, they think it's a great thing. And I really don't appreciate it, because even a cat, people put things on their feet and you see them go all weird and they can't walk and they start to get stressed out and things like that. It's because they have extra little chakras in their paws, which help them ground themselves. And so even I notice with Halo, when I'm walking near water and I go down to the pier, she'll see the water moving, but the actual pier's not moving, but she'll start getting down like she's crawling because she feels like that's moving. And that's why a lot of animals get car sickness and things as well, because they can't ground themselves properly. So when you're putting shoes on, we think it's funny because they go all strange or whatever. But in reality, they lose all their equilibrium. They lose absolutely everything. And they panic because they can't feel grounded. So it's like when you stand with your feet firm on the ground, you're completely grounded. As soon as they're used to not having anything on their paws. So for them to feel completely grounded, they need those paws to touch the ground.
Isn't that interesting?
So technically also in humans, we were never designed to actually have anything on our feet. No. That is why we have back problems and things like that. And that's why a lot of people don't feel grounded and they end up tripping or doing things like that, because even our feet change shape because we put shoes on them and things. So we are not supposed to have anything on our feet either.
Well, that explains why I don't like wearing shoes and socks.
Yeah, for a lot of people.
Yeah, even in the winter, like in the house, except then I have to put slippers on because it's an old house and the floors get cold. But my husband, he's always at me, God, he said, I don't know how you can go around with bare feet all the time. And
it's because that's how we're made. And even with yoga, everything you do in yoga, you have to have bare feet.
That's interesting. Yeah. Now, see, I teach laughter yoga. Where the yoga part comes in with the breathing.
Yeah.
Because we don't sit on the floor. We don't do actual yoga exercises, but we do the yoga breathing exercises and we combine it with laughter. So it works all the core muscles and stuff like that too. And also is a healing modality in a lot of ways, And Now, you also work with crystals.
Yes.
So how does that work with the animals?
So basically the same as humans. There's a few crystals that I would not use with animals because just some work better than others.
Yeah.
But pretty much you use it the same way as, so a lot of times I'll use different crystals for different things. Like I will hand them to people to work with, whatever. But usually when I'm doing any chakra work, I stick with the main ones for the actual chakras, which also work as well with the animals. Like some people want to put them on their animals and do things like that. Like you could sew one into their collar or on their harness or something, but I don't really recommend having crystals around them just in case they were to eat them or do anything like that.
Yeah.
But crystals do the same thing for the animal chakra system as it does for ours. So basically, and then also with my crystal Reiki, I'm also attuned for more symbols that I can bring in and amplify it with the actual crystals. So usually I like to, when I do any Reiki sessions for animals or humans, I like to bring the crystals in unless they tell me they would not like that. But I find it just amplifies it, just puts it in turbo, and it just helps everything so much more. Because it's more with the earth, right? The crystals are the vibrations and it's all with the earth and things. And so it amplifies things and helps remove things as well, I find.
Now, how long have you been doing this for? I mean, obviously, with all the credentials that you've got, you've been doing this for more than just a couple of months.
Yes.
And the sense I'm getting is that you started with one thing and you've gradually moved along. So how long have you been working with this?
So basically, I've always done lots of work with things, but I didn't really understand I was actually doing it, and I wasn't actually attuned for it. So, but I always knew there was something different about me. Even when I was a dog groomer, people would be like, I don't know how you groom my dog because it bites everybody. And all the groomers in the city would be like, oh, go to her. And if she can't do it, then you need sedation from the veterinarian and things like that. So I always knew that there was something special going on, but I just thought it was just like an animal human thing. And I trusted them more than people. So it was just easier for me. But once I started, like, life happened, things went strange, and you go on that journey looking for yourself. So basically, this has been a 6-year process. And so I had a dream one night after things went bad in life, and I woke up and I was just like, oh, I'm going to India. I want to learn yoga. So I just hopped on a plane and away I went for a month, and I did the yoga course. But then I knew that was beautiful and I loved it. And it was a great way of life and things like, but I just felt like there was something more. So then in 2019, I had another dream. So that's why they say you get called to things. I believe that because I didn't even know what Reiki was. And I had this dream, and then I woke up and I was like, well, I guess I'm going to Thailand and I'm going to go learn Reiki. So I hopped on a plane for another month and away I went to Thailand. And then they like to say that it's really good for you to take a few years when you get your level 1 and 2 and be a practitioner, work with that before you get into the master symbol or teaching and things like that. Really get to learn it, love it, appreciate it. And so I worked with it. It was 3 years pretty much on the button. And then that's when I decided, I think I'm ready, because I was doing more crystal work and just doing everything, the yoga, like mixing it all up. And then I was just like, okay, and it was weird is because like I just woke up one day and I was like, wow, I'm ready. I need to do more. And then I just went crazy and got all these certificates in the 2023, but I was ready. And so everything I did with the yoga, I would have never understood the chakra system, which would have never led me to the Reiki, which is the only reason why the grandmaster I took it under said that she would take me in the level 1 and 2 because I already understood the chakra system. So, and then everything else I took, you had to have your level 1 and 2 to get all of these master certificates. Yeah. So, and the animal Reiki one I just did, you have to have your level 3 with the normal Asui system. So even on my wall, all my certificates I just ended up placing them all like a tree. So it starts at the bottom and works its way up and branches off and right to the top. So it's like, a 6-year process. And when I look at the wall, I'm like, wow, 6 years, but it was worth it.
Wow. Now, I didn't realize that with yoga that you had to understand the chakra system.
Okay, so here in North America, a lot of people, that's why I got and went to India, because I wanted to go right to the source of where it was created. So there they actually have yoga universities and things like that. So it's completely different because it is actually a lifestyle, and it's not a religious thing, but a lot of the people who do it there are Hindu. So it brings a lot of things like that in. But there you're learning the complete lifestyle of how even Buddha did things, all that kind of stuff, and the real yogic lifestyle. And the chakra system is a huge part of everything, because that is why you're doing the poses you're doing. Because I also focus more on the Kundalini yoga and the chakra yoga. So the yoga I do, I'm focusing on all the chakras, what is best to open those chakras. So even when I work with people, I incorporate that as well. That's why I'm called chakra healer. I do everything because I will incorporate everything for you. So I will tell you what foods to eat to help that chakra that's out of balance. I will tell you what poses for yoga you can use, other breathing exercises you can use. I have basically, when I work with you, I will tell you everything you can do, and then there's no excuses.
Wow. I really didn't expect to hear all of that. No, that is... the detail that is involved with what you do, and like it's not just surface.
No,
it really is whole body.
Yeah.
Now, with where you were saying that working with what yoga poses would work best for you, what about someone who has mobility issues?
Okay, so a lot of that thing about the course I took as well, because it was taken by people who are also like personal trainers, what we would call them here. So I have learned basically I can do chair yoga poses with you. I can teach anybody from 1 year old to 100 years old. Different poses, different ways of doing it. Because myself, I suffered some injuries in my past, and that's also a reason why I got into yoga, because it helped me so much with all of my problems that I have. And I found going to the gym, it was just irritating a lot of things more because I was using weight that wasn't mine. So with the yoga, we use our own body weight, and we only do what we can handle. So we always say, if it hurts, you're doing it wrong. So if it hurts, try a different way of doing it, or have somebody show you how to align properly. But a lot of people with injuries, there's no excuse for anybody, because I also know a lot of people have said, oh, yoga's for skinny girls, and that's not true. It is for everyone. So I could show you 5 different poses of the same results.
Wow. Because I know, when I talk to people sometimes about the laughter yoga, and I can't do those exercises, and I can't, and they equate it with the actual, like the physical side of yoga. And it does, it scares a lot of people off. I mean, I have sat and I said, well, look, I can't do yoga because if I got down on the ground, I'd never get back up again. I couldn't get down anyway unless I fell, and I know a lot of people in my age group, yes, there are some who can get down on the ground and get back up again. But I know that there's a lot of people in my age group that's a huge problem, is you can't get down. And if we ever did, you can't get back up.
Yeah.
Like it's really tough. But we are going to take a short break. And then when we come back, we'll talk about contact information if anyone wants to get hold of you, and some of the courses that you're thinking about for next year.
Okay.
All right. We'll be back, so don't go away.
Leonard Thompson, 13 years old, diabetes mellitus, 65 pounds.
Starve the child to let them live? The treatment's as cruel as the disease. It's a death sentence.
Dr. Banting.
This could be it.
He's the first to receive this trial.
But will it save him?
not pure enough.
So we try again. And again. And again.
Before the discovery of insulin, diabetes was a death sentence. Banting, Best, Collip, and McLeod's breakthrough has saved millions of lives. Leonard Thompson's was the first.
I still remember the games, the laughter, the footsteps through the hallway. I'll never forget the hard times.
Every day I come back from work, it's always like this. We're yelling in front of the kids.
The help we needed. How far we've come.
And welcome back. Now, Julie, if somebody wants to book an appointment with you, how do they get hold of you?
Okay, so I have a website online. It's www.chakrahealer1111.com. Or I also have my email is chakrahealer1111@gmail.com. And if you go on the website, it has all the information for the actual email, has my phone number, which you can text or call or email in any way you want. You can get a hold of me that way.
Now, I was on your website earlier, and I couldn't find anything about animals.
So it's in the services. It's under animal Reiki. I haven't actually. I was just in the process of making something special for that. So I will be adding into that and getting more focused on stuff for the crystal Reiki, for the animal Reiki, and for the traditional Usui Reiki as well. Just because you're right. It explains everything I have, but it doesn't really break it down that well. Yeah. So I will be working on that also.
And of course, if anyone has any questions that they can't find the answer to on the website, all they have to do is either give you a call or send you an email.
Right. So, and you can also book appointments right on there. And there is a little chat icon on it that you can actually start a chat with me right from my website also, if you need to. And also I have my Facebook as well. So it shows all my certificates on my Facebook, and I'm getting more into it now. I haven't really added many people. It's just got my masters and things like that on it right now, because I want to keep it simple for the people I work with and things like that. So, but I have been adding things to show things that I do, like the holistic fair I just did was on there with Halo. And so I will be adding some things that will be beneficial to people as well. Instead of using my website to do it, I decided I was going to use my Facebook to do that, because then it's easier to follow that way. You can keep up easier with it.
All right. So if someone is looking for you on Facebook,
yes,
what do they look for?
Okay. So
how do they find one?
The way it is, because there's so many people on there, you can put my full name in, and it's Julie Hoffarth, and it's Hoffarth, which is also on my website. So you can just type that in, and it'll bring up my old account, but it'll also bring up one that says Chakra Healer Julie Hoffarth. Or you can also put in Chakra Healer Julie Hoffarth, which is really long. So if you just want to do the Julie Hoffarth, you will find me as Chakra Healer. Also, there is a link from my website. On the right-hand side at the bottom, there's a little Facebook icon. You can link right there from my website.
Oh, yeah, because I find sometimes trying to find things on Facebook, it sounds silly but there's so many with the same name or similar names, and it's like, oh Lord, which one is it?
Yeah. So I have an old account that has thousands of people on it, but I like to keep my new account specifically for clients and obviously for my masters that I worked under in case I have questions for them or whatever. So it is completely only for this purpose, and it's very private in the sense that I don't have a lot of people on there that shouldn't be on there.
That's good. That's good though. Now, you mentioned before the show, when we were talking, that you were thinking about doing some courses next year. I mean, no dates have been set yet, but when you do have them, I'm sure you'll put them on your website.
Absolutely.
So
I've been, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. So what are some of the courses that you're thinking about putting on?
So I was thinking about actually teaching. So it would be the traditional Japanese Asui Reiki, the animal Reiki, and the crystal Reiki, because I can teach all of those. So I was thinking about, I was going to start making some manuals and maybe start looking into that. But I'm not going to do anything really online with it or anything like that. I'm just going to keep it really special for somebody who kind of finds me or I feel like would be really good at this, because I find we're getting an overflow of people who are just doing it for the sake of doing it, and it's not really preserving it anymore.
No.
So I don't really want to like go forcing it upon people. I want people to find me if that's what they're interested in. Yes. And a lot of times there's a lot of people that I work with and they're like, well, you know what? I think I would really be interested in doing that. But then sometimes I feel like, well, maybe in time, I think for right now, maybe just, do more of your Reiki stuff and do more research and things like that. And then if you still feel that you're interested in that, then it's a good thing. And that's another thing too, is like having a grandmaster. I'm very glad I did it that way, because she was very set in the fact that you do your level 1 and 2 first and take time to learn that as a practitioner before you jump right in and get your master's. Because I've talked to other people that went 1, 2, 3, and they come to me and they're like, can you teach me it? Because I have no clue what I'm doing. And I was like, well, that's why we take our time with it. And you have to actually learn. It's almost like initiation. It's like an apprenticeship, basically. You need to take that time and get to know yourself, get to know the Reiki, and get confident even. So that's why I feel like I'm just going to take my time with that. It's not going to be something that's going to be plastered everywhere, and it'll be specific to who's drawn to it, basically. Like me, I was drawn to it. I was chosen, I feel like. It's not something I just like, I think I'm just going to do it just because.
Yeah. Now, how long for level 1, how long is your course?
So basically the level 1, you can pretty much do, like if I was to teach it at a spot, usually we can get through that probably in a day or 2. Okay. But then you still have to do the work where you want to do your 21-day attunement plans and start working with that for a while. And then, so basically for me, I did my level 1, but because I already had the yoga backing me and things like that, I was able to do my level 1 and 2 at the same time. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times in yoga courses, even around the world, they automatically offer the level 1 Reiki with it. So it's really nice because it enters people into it. And with the level 1, it gives you more time because you can spend that time on your animals and your family and things like that, and work with it until you get some confidence. And then with your level 2, that's when you're getting more into the extra symbols that you need to do real healing on other people. Yeah. And then the masters, a lot of times, most people only really get it if they want to teach, if they feel called to teaching. But there is actually, I felt like I needed it as well, because there is an extra symbol that amplifies everything and brings you to another level. And so I felt that I was ready for that. So I really wanted to do that right away. But I do have like intent of teaching it. It's going to be a very, maybe like once a year kind of thing. I'll get enough people that want to do it. It's not going to be like, that's not going to be what I'm focused on. I like to focus more on the healing end of it, because the animals need me and a lot of people need me. So
absolutely. Absolutely. Now with level 1, do you learn any of the symbols in level 1?
So you get attuned in level 1 for the first 2 symbols. And then in your level 2, you get more with the distance end of it. So you can do it remotely and distantly. And then in the end, you get your final one to bring you to your master's level and basically to amplify your other symbols.
Okay. See, I have my level 1 in Reiki, but it was literally taught in 3 hours in an evening.
That's the problem.
Oh, it is. It is. It's not something I don't feel that I'm able to use it because I don't know enough about it.
The thing is, with the level 1, it's more for you personally as well, to start working on yourself, doing self-healing, things like that. That's why I say you keep it with yourself. And it gets you used to the Reiki, and it gets you do all the things you need to do, your special meditations and things. And it gets you comfortable before you dive in, because level 2 is when you can start working with other people.
Okay. See, we were not taught anything about meditations. We did one meditation.
Okay.
I think was part of our attunement. I don't know.
So
with that
attunement, you need to do a 21-day Reiki cleanse, basically we call it, which includes meditation, self-healings, lots of work. So every attunement I do a grueling process of 21 days. People think I'm crazy because I'm pretty much like a nun, and I eat clean. I do everything by the book. I do all my yoga. I go also and I do special things spiritually. So like I will help someone in need. So I add all these extra mindful things to it. And so it's a pretty tough process, but I feel like you need to do that because it helps your attunement and it helps you learn more. And you should still, people think that once they're attuned, it just magically works. And that's not how it works. You have to do upkeep.
Yeah, you do. No, that makes a lot of sense because like I say, we did a meditation where we went and we sat on a bench and we asked for a spirit guide or someone in spirit to come and sit with us. And my friend David, who's in spirit, he's the one that came and sat with me. But there was no talk about doing it, keeping it up for 21 days or anything like that. It was just, well, here's your 3 hour, you've got it done. Here's your certificate. And I'll be honest with you, it has jaded me a little bit with Reiki because it just seemed to be too quick, too easy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There needs to be more. And I'm really impressed with what you're saying.
That's why I was very specific on how I did it myself and who I did it with, because I find I'm not going to tell anybody the way they should be doing anything, but I find a lot of people even doing it online. I feel like when I went and actually physically did the things, it was a completely different experience. It was more personal and I learned so much more. And even I know people that didn't even get manuals. And I feel like manuals are very important because in anything you do, even when I went to the yoga course in India, it was so much all at once, 200 hours, boom, and you're putting yourself through so much. There's so many things you forget and you really need to have that. And also what I do as well is that I keep an open relationship with everybody I work with because there's always going to be questions, concerns, things like that. And that it is our job to actually guide you when you're questioning something. Nobody should ever leave with not knowing what they're doing or what Reiki even is.
Yeah.
I feel like that's why my grandmaster was accepted me, because I already had the yoga and learned the whole chakra system and all of that, because she also as well teaches the yoga course. So I feel like that's why she felt that I was okay to do the level 1 and 2 pretty quickly. Like I took a month in Thailand to do that. But a lot of people, like, you need more time to work with a level 1, and I feel like they need to be guided more. And it also should be not something that you should be saying to somebody, maybe you should try Reiki, you should do this, or do you want to take my course, or this or that. It should, honestly, I feel like that's why I'm happy it's not covered under benefits right now as well, because I feel like the benefits kind of take the zest of it away, because nobody's looking for alternative ways of healing. And so really they're just coming to you thinking it's just going to be some little miracle or whatever. Where a lot of my clients that come to me, they know what Reiki is. Well, they don't understand it obviously on the level of someone who takes Reiki, but they have an idea of what it is, or somebody's explained it to them, or it worked really well for them. So I feel like, especially around here, because I talk to a lot of people that have their level 1 and 2, but have never used it for anything and have no clue what they're doing. And it's really sad. So I feel like I've talked to other people who take it very seriously, like I do. And they're like, there's so many out there that, you know, and it's supposed to be a sacred art. And so I feel like we're losing a lot of that zest, I feel like.
Yes, I agree with you on that, because, like I say, there are so many people out there that teach it the way I was taught.
Right.
And it's like, well, here, just give me your money.
Right.
You know, and it's like they're more, well, I've got your money, so here, quick. This is what we do. We did one practice session on somebody, and that was it.
Yeah, I don't see. That's why I'm going to take my time with when I design manuals and design a course, because I feel like there's just too many people that just aren't educated enough when they walk away. And then they say it doesn't work. And it's really a bad thing, because Reiki is such a beautiful thing. And it really does work well. And that's another thing too. I won't just do Reiki on anybody either, which a lot of people do. I feel like if I feel the person's not ready for it or doesn't understand it, I will not do it, because it will not work. If you don't believe in something, it will not work. And then you're going to say, oh, she doesn't know what she's doing, or that didn't work and it was terrible. But it's such a beautiful thing. And that's why I'm glad it's not covered under benefits, because people are going to seek me out.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And it's true. I mean, you know, anyone, whether you're dealing with stress, any kind of illness that you're dealing with, that illness didn't just happen overnight.
Right.
So the cure is not necessarily going to happen overnight either.
Exactly.
It's a process. Now, one of the things that I find anytime that I have gone for Reiki, there's very, very few Reiki practitioners that are actually allowed to work around my head. Their hands literally get pushed away.
Oh.
Yeah, once they start up here with the crown chakra, their hands get pushed away and not allowed.
I think that's because of the work that you do.
Probably. And they don't want it messed up.
Yeah, exactly.
There have been maybe one or two Reiki practitioners that have been allowed to work around my head, but all the rest of the hands get pushed away.
Yeah. So I find too, with a lot of people that end up finding me and coming for Reiki, they have tried everything. So they have gone to the hospital, they've gone to the doctors, they've gone to specialists, they've tried everything. And then they get to the point where it's like, you know what, I'm tired of taking pills. I'm tired of all these things that don't work. They're not finding the proper things, whatever. Mm-hmm. So that is what gets people on their quest to find the Reiki. And I feel that's very important.
Yes, absolutely it is.
We get to the root of the problem, and it goes deeper than just the chakras. There's a lot of attachments we could have. There's so many variables that lie around that. But it's the whole point is we don't bandage the problem. We get to the root of the problem. And some people really aren't ready for that either. So you have to be very careful.
And, you know, when you talk about getting to the root of the problem, absolutely. I think that is the most important, because if you don't get to the root of the problem, all you're doing is putting a Band-Aid on.
Right.
Really? Right? Because you can fix it, I will say, on a temporary basis, but that root cause, that root problem is still there. So it's still going to cause things to flare up again.
Right. And it'll fester and fester until you get to the root of that problem. But sometimes it's very grueling work, but once you get to that root and you get to the alternative way of healing it, it's so much better, and it can actually heal other things you didn't even realize that were even going on in you. So
yeah. Well, okay, I am more of a spiritual person than I am a religious person. Mm-hmm. When I talk about God, Creator, to me, they're all one and the same, just different names that we have, that everyone has for them. But God gave us, or the Creator, the universe, whatever, gave us what we needed when we were created.
Right.
We weren't born with a pharmaceutical company. When we were created, They didn't create a pharmaceutical company at the same time, but we were given the herbs, the spices, the plants that were all needed for healing. And our ancestors, they used them. They knew how to use them. And now they're trying to banish them.
Right.
Right.
And so I do a lot of that as well, because I believe we are what we eat. So food is actually medicine if you use it properly. So there's a lot of things that I also do with that as well.
Mm-hmm. So now, did you take courses in nutrition as well, or this is just what you have learned along the way?
This is just stuff that I've learned along the way, and just dabbling in things while I was in even India, the Ayurvedic way they do things, because there's a lot of people that get scared here of the chemo and things like that when they do cancer. I work with a lot of cancer people. And so a lot of them will take off, go directly to India, start an Ayurvedic lifestyle, start the yoga lifestyle, and have actually beat cancer. Here, anybody I really know that's gone through the grueling chemo, things like that, they end up dying because it's so invasive. So a lot of people go on a journey looking for alternative ways of healing. And I feel like that's what got me on that, because I had my own struggles as well. So I started learning that eating is a very important part of everything. What you put in your body is very, very important.
Yeah, it really is. Now, just a thought that came up. Do you teach, or have you thought about teaching a class on proper eating?
So that could be a total possibility as well, because I tell a lot of people sit there and say to me, oh, well, I've done all these things, and I go to the gym and I do all these things and I work so hard and it doesn't get me anywhere. I'm like, honestly, for me, I'm a very active person, so that does help. But I believe 20% of it is exercise. 80% is actually what you're putting in your mouth. So people like, oh, you're so picky the way you eat. It's not really about being picky. It's a spiritual thing, but it's also because I care about, I call it my pyramid. So this is, my body's my pyramid, and I have to take very good care of it. So I'm very particular about what I do. So I look at them, I look at their skin, I look at their body type and things like that. And I'm like, but I don't look like you. So you talk about how I look so great. Well, it's because I'm taking care of myself. I'm putting the proper things in my body and stuff. And going back to what you said before too, I just wanted to add is that we all have the key for healing. So we all have what we need inside us to heal ourselves. The problem is with the way the world is now, everything's so crazy busy and we have so many things going on. We can't eat properly. We can't do these things properly. So somebody who does Reiki properly, they will help you unlock you. That's pretty much what we're doing. We're unlocking you when we balance your chakras and do all these things. So we're actually helping it so you can heal yourself. So it is between you and Reiki. It's not actually me. I'm just actually being a beacon of light to help you to get all those things that you actually need to heal.
Yeah, because anyone who does Reiki, it's not basically what, as a Reiki practitioner, what you're doing is you're channeling Reiki energy through you.
Yes.
So the energy is coming from above.
Exactly. And then we're directing that into wherever you need that.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I've seen is being accepted in hospitals as well.
Yes, they're actually starting really great.
It is. I had, I'm trying to think, geez, it's got to be about 8 years ago now. I had a hip replacement done. And when I went to see the anesthesiologist before the surgery, and he wanted to see my list of medications, I didn't have any. All I put on there was CBD. And he said, well, I need to have all your medications. What do you take? And I said, well, I don't. And he just looked, he said, at your age, you don't take medications? And I said, no. Well, I think that's great. And then he talked about painkillers and everything afterwards. And I said, well, I have friends that do Reiki, and they will be sending me Reiki energy prior to the surgery and then again afterwards. And he just thought that was great. He said, I think that's wonderful. And afterwards, because they come around with all the pain pills and they want to check pain levels and all of that. And I didn't have any. It was really easy. And I started to feel guilty of all things because everyone else, their pain levels were 8, 9, 10, 11, and I'm like there, 0, maybe 1. One day I lied and I said 4 just because I felt guilty. It really does make a difference.
It really does.
It does.
But the thing is, you believe in it.
Yes, I do. I do.
Because you also got a bad taste in your mouth, which makes sense because you tried to take a course with somebody who probably shouldn't have been teaching you. So, but what I try to tell people is research, investigate, try to feel somebody out first, because I've learned some hard lessons of my own. Everybody who goes to church isn't necessarily a good person.
That's right.
This is one of the lessons that I've been learning as of late. And that's what I try to understand, is that not everybody's in everything for the right reasons. Just like maybe you're not ready for Reiki yet. So that is me to decide that as well.
Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense.
I believe if you truly believe in it, it can work absolute miracles. Because myself, I was in a really bad motorcycle accident and suffered with many problems. And I feel like I am 30 years old right now, and I am living life and doing amazing things and taking care of myself, enjoying the moment, not stuck in the past, not stuck in the future. Mm-hmm. And like me, before I got into all this, I was on different medications as well. And with things that happened in my life now, I absolutely take nothing either. I feel like I cheated myself because in the past 7 years, the worst thing I put in my body was an allergy pill. And I was going absolutely crazy and I just needed to have something, but it worked for the moment. But then again, I realized, okay, there's some environmental things that we can't stop from happening, like dust and things like that. But I also realized, okay, maybe I'm not being as diligent with what I'm eating and things like that. So it's actually creating problems again. And so I'm 100% clean. I don't do anything. And I believe that anybody who does Reiki as well, it is also taught to us that you should not smoke, you should not do drugs, you should not do alcohol. You should be 100% clean and pure to channel that energy. And I believe, because I believe in transferring things. And so I do a lot of work to do what I do.
Yes. Well, we've come to the end of the show. And Julie, I would like to thank you for being my guest. And I have learned a lot today. And I think it's wonderful. And again, if you can just go very quickly, go over your contact information if anyone would like to book a session with you.
Okay, so it's chakrahealer1111.com. And you can find everything you need on there, my email, my Facebook, my phone number. You can book appointments right from there. You can chat with me there. Or on Facebook, you'll find my name on my website. So you can find Julie Hoffarth. And then it'll come up under Chakra Healer Julie Hoffarth.
All right. So thank you very much. And I hope everyone learned as much as I did and enjoyed it. And I'm sure you did. And until next time, and remember, keep laughter in your heart, because it really is life's best medicine. Bye.
Thank you.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
These days at your local Legion, we're marching to the beat of a different drum. On a mission to support veterans, to have fun, and to welcome everyone to our ranks. You don't have to be a veteran to join the Legion. And as a member, you'll join thousands of others serving our veterans, our communities, and our country. Oh yeah, and our Member Perks program will save you thousands on shopping, dining, products,